My name's Phil Strong and I'm glad you've joined us for this devotional series called Stay Strong in 2022. My desire through these 7 sessions, these short sessions, these encouragements are to help you to focus on some key things that you can establish in your life as disciplines, regular practice that helps you stay strong in order that you can walk well with God in 2022. This is message number 3. And this one is all about meaningful and purposeful action. Meaningful and purposeful action. You see, each one of us are created by God as a masterpiece. Paul writes in Ephesians chapter 2. And we're a masterpiece created by God. Think about yourself as a glorious painting or a beautiful piece of furniture that has function, that can be enjoyed by others. We are God's workmanship. We have been created by God not to sit around idle, not to focus on ourselves and to spend all our effort setting goals for self-glorification and self-magnification. That's not why God created us. We have to remember that we're created in God's image to be His representation to the world. And yes, that means we should be living a life dedicated to Christ and walking in His successes and fulfillment of His promises. All of that is true, but for His glory. And so this is where we come to the phrase meaningful and purposeful action. One of my observations through life as I've worked as a leader in business and church and working with people and helping them to walk well in their lives is that people get lost. Sometimes they lose connection with not just who they are, but why they are. What is the meaning of life, people used to say to me. And I'd be saying, well, to find out who you are, why you were born, and get focused on it. People struggle sometimes with connecting in community or connecting in church life. And often that disconnection has become more obvious to them because they've lost or broken the connection with why they're connected in the first place. We're called by God to walk in community. We're called by God to walk together. You know, the body of Christ has many parts, each with a specific function, and that we're called to walk out that function in order that we would strengthen each other for the purpose of glorifying Jesus in our community. Meaningful work. We've got to find a purpose that's bigger than ourselves. We've got to find a function that is greater than just existing. Going to work, paying the bills, enjoying our weekend, getting our fair share of life. It's far greater than that. So we need to anchor ourselves here in finding meaningful and purposeful action. Now, the reason I've worded it this way is firstly that meaning comes from understanding why we were created the way we are by the Creator. For us to be creation means there must be a Creator. The Creator has an intent, He has a design, He has a workmanship, a purpose in the creation. And so God created you for good works, for a purpose. And so the first thing you've got to do is understand why God made you this way and what is the meaning. So we're called to emulate God, we're called to worship God, we're called to represent God. That's the meaning in each of our lives. So your challenge as part of this devotional series to stay strong in 2022 is to find out, how am I fitting in? Where do I fit in? Who am I connected with? What is the meaning that can come from my life? Now, you might be working in a retail, you might be working in a business, you might be working in a workshop, you might be working in a school, you might be working raising your family, you might be retired and wondering what's next in your life. Well, ask the Creator. God, I am your workmanship, created for significant and glorious things that you have prepared for me in every season of my life. What is the meaning? Come back to Him. Ask Him to speak to you. If you're struggling with that, find a wise person, a mentor. Maybe it's a connect group leader or a pastor or a family friend that knows you well, that knows Jesus really, really well, and that can sit with you and support you in that. The reason I've called it meaningful and purposeful action is that purpose has intent. It has an outcome. And whilst we can't measure ourselves on the success of the outcome, we certainly should have a focus. You know, what is our reasonable goal for 2022? What is it that we're trying to grow into? Who am I becoming? And finally, we call it action because I believe faith is an action word. We can believe God, we can know what's true, we can understand and accept what He says about us, but unless we take action, then our faith would be empty. We demonstrate our faith by the good works that God has prepared for us to do. And so what are some action steps for you? So look, make sure you grab the devotion guide. It's a simple sheet that will help you to focus on the right questions that we've prepared to support you, to guide you. They're really just a starting point. But grab the devotion guide. Do it by yourself in conversation with Jesus, or perhaps grab a friend, grab a coffee and sit down under a tree and talk about these things. What is meaningful, what is purposeful, and what is action? And when you do these things, you'll establish a discipline that will help you to stay strong in 2022. Hey, I'm glad you're on the journey with us. My name's Phil Strong, and just grateful for the opportunity to share these thoughts with you. And this has been message number 3 in a series called Stay Strong in 2022. Why don't you watch out for message number 4? It's coming soon.